everybody. Good night. Good night. I hope everyone is having a magnificent night on this beautiful Thursday. And I am your host for the evening, Desiree Hall of Real Love Ministries. You're watching Real Love Ministries live, and we just thank you all so much for joining us. And another reason I am so excited tonight is because this is our first show of 2023. Yes, yes. And I have such a beautiful, as y'all can see, I have such a beautiful special guest that is joining on tonight, Miss Sheneka Brown. Yes.
Thank
So,
you.
Sheneka, how are you?
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. You are welcome. Beautiful as ever. And I thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know you probably had a busy day and just getting in as I am. But I just thank you for taking out the time to come in to speak with us on tonight and just, give us insight and knowledge on what you may have and how you can help our community and those around us with what you have to offer. So how you been doing?
I am great. How are you?
I am wonderful. I am wonderful. Listen, Sheneka, I'm going to read a little bit of your bio because you have quite a few things going on. All right. So, and then you can come in and just give us a little bit more insight of who you are and what you do. So, Sheneka Brown, she's a mother, an educator, an author, an entrepreneur. Sheneka Brown is a native of Miami, Florida, and a graduate of Union Institute and University with multiple degrees in education. She is the mother of two teenage boys, a reading coach with Miami-Dade Public Schools, an entrepreneur. Recently, Ms. Brown was awarded the Francisco R. Walker 2022 Teacher of the Year for her previous school. Ms. Brown also is the author of Dear Little Brown Girl, My Travels Around the World, and Dear Little Brown Boy, My Time Travel Adventure. In addition, Ms. Brown is the manager of Promise Academy, LLC, where she tutors students in grades K through 12 in reading, English, language arts, test prep, and writing. So, Sheneka, let me tell you, you do so many things, you wear so many hats. And like I said, I'm just so happy that you are here with us on tonight. Now, ladies and gentlemen, those that are listening, you're not dealing with an amateur on tonight. So she is equipped and ready and prepared to give us some insight on our children and their education. And we're just happy that you are here. So just tell us a little bit more about yourself.
So, just like you said in the introduction, I have been an educator for the past 14 years. I just love teaching kids. That is my heart and that is my passion. I am also an author, the manager of the Promise Academy Tutoring Center. So that's pretty much me all in a nutshell. But I am an educator at heart.
Awesome, awesome. And since I've known you, Sheneka, it seemed like you have always been in school. Are you still in school now?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Did you get your doctorate degree yet?
I am done March 4th.
Yes, yes. Congratulations. I'm telling you, because every time I've seen you, you were in school for something. And I'm just so happy for you from where you have started to where you are now. And now with the Promise Academy, it's just brilliant. Awesome. And Sheneka, just tell us a little bit about the Promise Academy.
So the Promise Academy all started actually with my two children. Initially, they were both when they were little. They were in SPED, which is our what we call the special education classes when they were little. And but the Promise Academy was birthed through that experience. My kids were in SPED from like pre-K to second, and one was in SPED from pre-K until third. But they wind up transitioning right from SPED to gifted. And at the time, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I started to I felt defeated because I was a stay-at-home mom. I was like, okay, what do I do? How can I further help my kids? So I understood that in order for me to further help them, I needed to go back to school. I needed to be equipped. I needed to be educated, right? And so I went back to school and I started tutoring them, and they transitioned from being ESC and being in special education courses to transitioning into gifted. And so that was the birth or the commencement of the Promise Academy through that experience.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. I have two questions that I wanted to ask, but first, how did you come up with the name Promise Academy for the school?
Oh, wow. So the name was actually birthed because I wanted to, well, our goal and our mission and our promise, right, is to provide students with a tailor-made academic plan through tutoring that will improve their grades, their self-esteem, their test scores, and everything towards learning. So it is our promise, right, to our parents and to our students that they will and that they can succeed.
Awesome,
That's how we
awesome.
do it with the Promise Academy.
Now, my next question would be: I know you mentioned that your two boys were tested,
Mhm.
and they were in what kind of course you said?
Well, they were in we call it SPED, but
Sped.
yes, or ESC.
Okay, so the ESC course. How
Mhm.
would a parent know if their child needs to be tested, or sometimes children get lazy,
Mhm.
or they may have a learning disability, or
Right.
they just need extra help, they need the tutoring. How can we as parents determine that with our children?
So I will tell you that it's kind of hard for a parent to determine whether their child is SPED or ESC. So they have to get evaluated by a licensed professional, right? But there are some signs that you can tell depending on the learning disability. So there's a variation of different learning disabilities, right? So you have an autism spectrum, you have just a learning disability. So that's kind of hard to call. I will tell you that sometimes with a parent, you want to, you know, just keep in communication with the child's teacher, observe and watch your child's behavior. Make sure that you're abreast about milestones, right? Where your child should be at a certain age, what they should be doing. So when my kids were little, I noticed that certain milestones they were not achieving, and so I sought out help and I had them tested by a licensed professional, and that's when they told me they needed extra assistance. So I would tell any parent just to make sure that you're watching milestones. If the child is already in school, talk to the teacher, see if, are they falling behind as far as the curriculum, their schoolwork, the homework. So you could look at certain things and certain patterns. Also, behaviors. Sometimes our kids act out because not because they want to, it's because they're struggling. They're struggling in reading, they're struggling in math. So looking at certain behaviors, patterns, and how they're doing academically, and then let them get tested by a licensed professional. So it's kind of hard to tell because sometimes it could be our kids just need extra help and extra tutoring, or it can be where it's, they need to see a license to be evaluated by a licensed professional as far as if they are SPED or they need those extra classes or courses or extra assistance.
Mhm. And I know that sometimes the children act out as well because they're not challenged enough, so that could be something that we also need to look into as parents as well. Is my child being challenged enough? They may
Mhm.
not have any of those issues. It's
Right.
just that they're far beyond above
Mhm.
what
Right.
is expected of them, so it can go all different type of ways. Another thing is, I've heard, I'm not in the education field or
Mhm.
anything of that sort, but I've heard a lot of teachers say sometimes parents be in denial,
Mhm.
even when they're tested. Oh, it's
Mhm.
like, oh no, not my child. No, my child ain't this, my child ain't that. So how do you handle those type of things, and what would you encourage parents to do that may be in denial about what's going on with their child to get extra help?
So, I think one of the things is equipping them with knowledge, right? Because I think what happens is there's such a stigma around SPED or around special education courses, right? So we think automatically that our one right, that our child is going to always be that way, or our child is going to always encounter those courses or be in those classes. So or it used to be the stigma, my child's going to ride the short yellow bus. That has nothing to do with it, right? SPED is actually one of the most incredible things that sometimes if your child needs assistance that you can do, because sometimes it provides them with the extra time, resources, teachers, curriculum, to allow them to advance, right? And so really equipping parents with the knowledge to say that it's not a bad thing, right?
Right.
Because I had to even equip myself to tell, because before I became an educator, I was like, you know what? Once I equipped myself with the knowledge, I was like, it's not a bad thing. And I would just encourage them to read what their individualized education plan says, which is an IEP. Read that, right? And that was one of the things that I did. I read my child's IEP. Okay, everything they said that Josiah and Jordan could not do, I said, okay, we're going to work on these skills. We're going to work on these standards of what they're saying that, you are not able to do, right? And then work on those things. And so everything that they said they couldn't do, they did it, because I started to read the educational plan that was set before them. So that's one thing. Two, another thing is just allowing, I think as a parent, it's a hard thing, right? Because you never want it to be, you're a kid, but just really just being open and transparent, even with your child, right? And just always encouraging them, like I did with my kids. I was like, you know what, you can. I said, take I can't out of your vocabulary, right? So encouraging the child, because one thing about kids, they can transition easier than adults, right?
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
mommy, my kids was like, mommy, I'm okay. I was crying more than they were. And so I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? But I would definitely say equipping parents with the knowledge around SPED, reading your IEP plan, reading your parents' safeguards, all of that stuff that they give you in those meetings, read it, right? And so you will feel so much better, because you will realize you have so many other options, right? And that, guess what, at the end of the day, you're gonna be like, well, they get extra time, they get extra help, you get to meet with a whole team. And so it makes the educational process much better and smoother for both the parent and the child. So knowledge, I will tell you, knowledge is definitely the key, and always encouraging your child.
Yes. And one thing you said that I definitely agree with is that, ESE is not a bad thing. They can get that extra help. And one time an ESE child is not always an ESCE child. And you have also experienced that. Can you share your testimony about your child, of where he started as a ESCE student to where he is now?
Yes. So, but both, Jordan was SPED initially. When I got him tested, I knew at like 3 something was wrong, and I said, okay, I'm going to go and get you tested and get you evaluated. And they did, and he had the different variations and labels and so forth. However, by the time I worked with him, we tutored, we did a lot of things. But I can tell you that he turned around, and literally by the time he was in second grade, went to transition from ESC to gifted. Now he's in the 9th grade. Now he has a 4.625 GPA. He just won a scholarship last week. Just
Yes.
won a scholarship for the Martin Luther King Trailblazer Award. And so it's possible, and that's my encouraging word, that it's definitely possible. And then with ESC, believe it or not, you have the option to pull your child out if you a parent always has that right. However, but I would recommend to make sure that if that is a choice that you want to make, that they fully make sure that they get all the services that they need before you decide to pull them out. I didn't pull mine out. They actually told me that it was time for him to transition, because he kept scoring high at the time on the FSA, on all the district assessments, on our
Wow.
ready test, and it was like, no, he needs to come out of here. And so, but it's possible. We're like I tell parents, we're early tutoring, working with your child at home, keeping in constant communication with the teacher. You know, the motivation from the child alone, and you working with them and encourage them daily, it can all turn around. It is possible.
Yes. One of the things that I was going to ask you is how do you measure your child's progress? Now, I know you as an educator, you're professional at this, but me, myself, as a parent, or you may have a grandparent that are raising their grandchildren and they know something is wrong. They're taking the steps to actually get the proper help to assist this child. However, how can a parent or a grandparent or a caregiver measure their progress? And you as an educator and a teacher, how do you measure that progress and say, okay, now they can go up to the next level from ESCE, they can get back in a regular classroom, they need to be tested for something else? How do you all measure that, and how could we as parents measure that?
So, how we measure that is basically looking at the child's test scores,
Mhm.
um, seeing where they were, where they are now. So, we have different variation of tests. How they do on already, how they do in intervention, just how they in their classwork, and see if they are making their progress. So we look at their data from the test results and kind of determine, okay, this child A is making progress, and looking at their test scores, they were here, now they're here. And so basically looking at test scores, looking at that data, their overall data, to kind of determine, okay, you know what, now this child can transition from an ESC classroom to a general education course. So really looking at test scores. And
Okay.
that's why I say that parents need to be in constant communication with their kids, making sure that they have their parent log in and sign on for schools. So you could look at their grades, so you could look at their test scores, making sure that you're having these parent teacher conferences, quarterly with the teacher, or even if you stay on Class Dojo or whatever they have at the school, where you can stay in communication with the teacher, and also getting a copy of the test scores for yourself, right? So you can understand that data, so you can work with the child at home as well.
Okay. So I thank you for that. And my other question would be, are all the tests, let's see, how can I word this? Is it all theory written tests, or do you all do actual physical tests, observations?
Yep.
What are
So
those what are those tests, you know?
so you have your informal, you have informal tests, and then we also have observations as well. So the tests that they get in school are based on the child's ability. So for example, on when they test on iReady, right? So based upon how the child answers a question, the complexity level of the question either going to go up or is going to go down based upon how the child scores. So it's actually individually geared to how the child is answering the questions on the test. And then after that is it gives an overall score, has if the child is on grade level, below grade level, or above grade level.
Got you. Got you. So now, in all of this, where does the Promise Academy come in, and what do you all have to offer to help these children that may not be adding up in school or maybe in ESCE and need that extra help? What are the services you provide?
So what we do, we provide individualized tutoring for each of the students that come in. So we really don't do group tutoring per se, because we like the tutoring to be individualized so that we can give that child that one-on-one tutoring that they need. Now we do group tutoring more than likely for siblings, but primarily it's individualized. So for children that may be afraid to ask questions in front of a group, or we don't want them to feel like they're in school, so we do individualized testing. So what we do is get them a pre-test when they come in, so we kind of know where they are. unless the parent has the test scores from the school, and we could look at those as well. But we give them a pre-test to kind of know where they are, and then we kind of work based upon their strengths and their weaknesses upon how they test it. And then we kind of set an individualized academic plan based on that child's needs. And we keep data and we score it and we grade it, so the parent kind of knows, well, your child is still struggling in this area, or he has made progress in this area, so that the parent is also abreast what standards, what skills that we are working on, and as well as what the parent needs to do when they get home, because we understand that tutoring and learning is a partnership, and we can't, at the Promise Academy, definitely our parents are definitely involved in the process. So we wanted to make sure that the parents are involved. And so that's how we kind of go with the plan. And then at the end, based upon how many sessions the parent gets, then we give a post test. So we'll know how they were when they came in. And then we give a post test, so how they did after tutoring.
Okay. How is your structure? Do you have it set for a certain amount of weeks and then you test? And then if they decide that they need extra tutoring or some more help, you extend it? And I had another question I can't remember right now, but how is the whole structuring of that to determine, okay, is it set for a certain amount of weeks and then you have to extend it if needed? And maybe they didn't need it, all of those weeks. How is that determined?
So now what we do is we give our parents the flexibility to kind of choose. So what we do is we make suggestions based upon the child's test scores, and say, this child may need once or twice a week based upon how they score. Now, we do give the parents the option whether they want to go at once or twice a week, or based upon their schedule, because I do have a lot of parents that are working parents and they only could come one or twice a week. So if they can't come in person, we do offer online tutoring as well. And so with that being said, it's not really a standardized based upon weeks, but really based upon the dynamic of what the child needs, and also the flexibility of the parent schedule. So the schedule is always open and the parents can always go online and book. But we do, provide recommendations based upon how the child scored. But we always leave it to the parents' discretion, based upon their schedule, the child, as far as how long they want tutoring services.
Awesome. And do you all do any rewards or anything at the end, or just to celebrate the child, to honor the child for their achievements? Because I know as a child, it could be real difficult, especially if you're in the ESCE, because sometimes children can be very mean and they may have a insecurity about, learning, or a disability, not being able to read, write on their level. So as they go through the tutoring process, what are some skills that you use? And are there any rewards or any, recognition of achievement?
Oh, absolutely. So we always celebrate from the smallest milestone to you blending the segmenting words to you reading a sentence. We try to celebrate everything, right? Because we want that child to know that, guess what? You made this achievement. You came in and you didn't know how to do that, but now you know how to do that. So we celebrate all of those milestones with them. When they get to a certain level, you get a certificate, you get a gift card. Sometimes they get a free book, they get to go on a grab bag. So it's a lot of things that, we do to celebrate those, either the smallest to the largest achievement that they accomplished during tutoring. And so we definitely, and then get your name on the wall. And so, but we definitely make sure that we celebrate all of those milestones that they achieved during tutoring.
Great. Can you share with us what subjects do the Promise Academy specialize in?
So we specialize in reading, language arts, writing, test prep, GED. I started GED, doing tutoring for GED as well. So anything in the reading box, I call it, we tackle everything, so but math. No math.
Okay.
I do math for the little ones. I will say that I do math for the little ones. Like this K1 and 2, I'll do the math for the little ones.
Great, great. So anything else you would like to share with us about the Promise Academy before we sign off?
Absolutely. It is a great place to come and to learn. If you want an individualized plan, an individualized attention certified teacher to work with your child, we are definitely here at the Promise Academy. We have flexibility for online and in-person tutoring. And we are always open. We also have a phone line you can call. If you get a certain plan, that you can always call me or text me if you have a problem outside of tutoring. If you get our 15 session plan, so that, you got the dial a teacher, phone a teacher option. And so definitely come and work with us and see the big difference in your child. And we're always here to help.
Awesome, awesome. Now, give us, I know you said you offer virtual as well as in-person tutoring courses. So can you give us the address of where you are, and also virtually, how can they connect with you?
Yes, so we are located in Davie, Florida. Our address is 5001 South University Drive. We are in Suite D. We are located in Davie, Florida, 33328. You can call us at 754-444-8872. Or if you want to do virtual, you could go to our website at www.thepromiseacademy.com.
Awesome. Awesome. So, listen, I know probably you haven't caught that. So I'm going to enter this into the bio so you all have it at the bottom of the screen as well. You see the website for the Promise Academy, so you can stay connected with Sheneka Brown. This is no amateur. Like I said at the beginning, she's been teaching for 14 years, and she started the Tutoring Academy. How long you been tutoring? Because you tutored your children.
I have been tutoring about 14, 15 years as well.
Wow.
It's just now that, we have a brick and mortar building. And so we just kind of made it official.
Yes. And you are one that has also taught other teachers, hosted and facilitated, conferences and meetings and trainings and all of this good stuff. So you're listening to Sheneka Brown. She's very well equipped, very well educated to train your child, to teach your child, to tutor your children in whatever area except math. I think she said, unless they're the babies, anything in the reading box. Okay. Can you tell them again? Reading, language arts,
writing, test prep, and GED.
And GED. So they're well equipped to help you. And it's nothing to be ashamed if you need that extra help, if you need that extra push, that encouragement, even as a parent. It's nothing to be embarrassed about if your child needs that help. So Sheneka, I want you to end this. We're getting ready to sign off. It's already 8:31. I'm doing good time on tonight. Cool. Yes. We're getting ready to sign off. Can you just give a word of encouragement to the parent, and then give a word of encouragement to the child?
Absolutely. I wanted to encourage them that they can do anything, that all things are absolutely possible. If you believe, anything is impossible. I almost gave a scripture.
Well, you can do that. This Christian base, so you can do that. That encourage the people.
Right. So the Bible says that all things are possible if you believe. And so all you got to do, if you believe it, I got to tell my kids, you can achieve it. But definitely I gave my kids that scripture. All things are possible if you believe, and it can be done. There's nothing too hard for God.
Amen. Amen. And Sheneka, once again, I just thank you so very much. And I just appreciate you taking out time out of your busy schedule to come on Real Love Ministries platform to share what you have to offer to our parents, to our teachers, and to this community. The Promise Academy, I'm so glad it is brick and mortar now. It's been active for a very long time. Like I said, you are just so beautiful, so intelligent, and you're always lending a helping hand. Listen, y'all, she is not even an amateur to media. She has been on what, Channel 7, Channel 10. Who wants to be a millionaire? Yeah. So Sheneka and I, we go way back for a lot of things. And I just thank you for sharing all your accomplishments and what you have. You know what? Before we go, please talk about the books. I'm so sorry that I just completely was just on the Promise Academy, but you have like one of the best-selling books on Amazon.com, Dear Little Brown Girl, travels around the world. I bought it for my grandbabies. I've shared it with so many people like, hey, you need to get this book, and even Dear Little Brown Boy. So just share a little bit about your books before we go.
Oh, definitely. So I am the author of both of those books. Dear Little Brown Girl is about a little girl named Chloe who travels around the world, and she meets influential and trailblazing women who are the first presidents of their respective country, and they encourage her that she can be anything that she wants to be. And at the end of the book, she wants to change that narrative. And so, but try to get the book to know the end.
Yes.
But you know, that book definitely had opened up some doors for me when it came out. It almost 5 years ago already.
Yes.
It'll be 5 years next month. And so Adrian James was the first one to promote it on his social media. Then Reggie Wayne. I just had so many different NFL players and organizations to be able to promote that book, and it's still a really good literary piece for kids to read and become abreast, to learn about vocabulary, geography, history. But it's a great book. Dear Little Brown Boy is about a little boy named Chris who travels in the past and meets different influential African American males who change. They made an impact, right? And so they were able to help shape and mold the future. And so Chris realizes that you have to go back in the past in order to change the future, and he wants to make a difference.
Wow. So I encourage you all to get the book. You can get it from Amazon.com. It's Dear Little Brown Girl, Travel Around the World, or My Travels Around the World. And Dear Little Brown Boy, I think it's My Travel Adventure.
Yeah, My Time Travel Adventure.
My Time Travel Adventure. Get those books. I'm telling you, get those in your library for your children. Even for yourself. I loved it. I love travel. So I love how, especially Dear Little Brown Girl, took me to so many different continents and countries. It was just beautiful. So congratulations once again. Yes, Sheneka Brown, I really appreciate you taking out the time to come on Real Love Ministry Live and just chat it up with me and share what you have to offer to this community. So thank you all so much for listening. This is Real Love Ministries Live. I'm your host, Desiree Hall, and we want to wish you all a happy new year. I just hope that your new year was just as pleasant as mine these last 26 days. So we just wish you a prosperous new year and many successes to come. And same to you, Sheneka. Thank you so very much. I just look forward to whatever else God has in store for you. All right. All right, everybody. Have a good night.